Let me tell you something straight. Nothing prepares you for the day. A neighbor stares you down across the street and hollers, "Your grandfather's land is ours now." That's not just a shot across the bow. That's somebody tossing gasoline on dry grass, acting like their voice alone can rewrite your family history. I was standing right there on my porch, the same porch my granddad built with his own hands, thinking, did I just hear that right? But she wasn't done. Not by a long shot. The HOA president, Evelyn Hart, pointed at me like she was sentencing me in court and marched right into my life like she owned the ground under my boots. And then, as if the day wasn't already off the rails, Evelyn picked up her phone and called 911, hollering into the speaker so the whole block could hear, "There's a trespasser on HOA land." I swear within 5 minutes it looked like every curtain in the neighborhood had a set of eyes peeking through dogs, barking kids frozen in place, and me, well, I was being accused of trespassing on the same patch of dirt my granddad left me in his will. Ever have that feeling where the whole world seems tilted? That was me gripping the old wooden gate with NC 1978 carved into the post, trying to remember how breathing worked. So there she was, the self-appointed queen of the block, shouting, "Your grandfather agreed to give this land to the HOA. It's community property now." She said it like she had the 10 Commandments to back her up. The problem: my grandfather died last year, and I never heard him say one word about a community agreement. As a former building safety inspector, I know the hoops you have to jump through to transfer property. If paperwork could kill, I'd have been 6 feet under already, but Evelyn just stood there broadcasting her confidence like the morning news. Neighbors started gathering, whispering behind their hands, and you could feel the air getting heavy. Even the guy with the blue truck who barely waves slowed down, phone in hand, taking it all in. Evelyn waved a stack of community expansion records around like a judge with the final verdict. I asked to see them. You know what I got? Hand-waving and vague threats. "We've been mowing this grass for years that makes it ours." I almost laughed. As if cutting someone's grass means you get to steal their yard. But her voice kept rising, and then right there in front of everyone she dials 911. Now, if you've never had the cops called on you for opening your own gate, let me tell you, it's a special kind of insult. Deputy Blake rolls up all business parks, his squad car between Evelyn's shiny sedan and my granddad's rusted-out pickup. I'm shaking, but I managed to hand him the deed, the will, everything the court needed to make this inheritance official. The man reads through it all, cool as a cucumber, and then looks Evelyn dead in the eye. "Ma'am, do you have any legal proof this property was transferred to the HOA?" That's when Evelyn's face did its best traffic light impression, red, white, then green. She mumbled about community understanding, pointing at the same oak tree my granddad always used as the property marker. Blake just shook his head. "Understanding isn't legal transfer. That old oak had roots older than half the homes in this development. HOA mowers stopped long before the tree." And for all her big talk, Evelyn couldn't point to a single real document. But here's where things really started to spiral. The very next morning, I found a gift basket at my door. "Welcome new HOA member, cookies, flowers, and get this, an official-looking bill, $75 a month for services I never asked for. Lawn care, parking enforcement, paint color approval." It read like a ransom note written in corporate font. I asked Martha Green next door if the HOA ever did anything for my granddad. She just laughed, said he always took care of everything himself from trash pickup to snow removal, and made a point to keep his land out of any association. "That's why he picked this place," she told me. "Your granddad didn't believe in giving up an inch he didn't have to." As the days went on, I started walking the property, inspecting every inch. The HOA's trash bins, the streetlight, sidewalk maintenance, all of it stopped exactly where my granddad said it would. Even the utility guy working on the next house confirmed it. 2 billing systems, 2 service areas, he said, been like that since 2008. So why did Evelyn think she could just change history? That's when I realized she wasn't just making a mistake, she was running a long con. Turns out she'd tried this with other houses before. The postal carrier even showed me a rejected request from 2010 where Evelyn tried to drag my property under HOA control and the feds shot her down. She'd been planning this move for over a decade, just waiting for my granddad to pass so she could pounce. And the playbook was always the same: escalate, intimidate, pressure people till they gave up or sold out. Suddenly, local businesses stopped serving me. Hardware store, lawn service, grocery deliveries, everyone acting like my house had the plague. The real twist, neighbors I'd never spoken to started asking if I was suing the HOA or plotting to ruin their property values. Evelyn had been spreading lies, talking about grandfather clauses, accusing me of trying to dodge community standards. It wasn't about rules or boundaries anymore. She was turning folks against me with fear and fiction. Through it all, that oak tree stayed my anchor. My granddad always said, "This tree marks where community ends and family begins." But family means helping, not hiding. Sure enough, Martha showed up with a folder of photos, one from the big ice storm when my granddad ran an extension cord to her house so her kids could keep warm. She even had pictures of him pumping out Evelyn's flooded basement, saving her furniture back when she still had gratitude. Now here she was painting me as the villain. But then Walter, the old electrician, started hanging around more. He was quiet, but he watched everything. One afternoon, while inspecting the oak, I found a weathered brass key tied to a survey nail. Walter just smiled. "Your granddad believed in leaving proof for people willing to look," he said, like he'd been waiting for this moment. Later, I'd find out just how deep Walter's connection went. As the weeks dragged on, Evelyn's campaign got meaner. She started filing code complaints with the county, reporting unpermitted structures and unsafe wiring. The inspector showed up clipboard in hand, but found nothing wrong. In fact, he complimented the property, said it was better maintained than most he'd seen in 20 years. Meanwhile, I started documenting everything, every service refused, every threat, every rumor. I built a display on my porch, covered it with old family photos, birthdays, Christmas graduations, all with that HOA ends here sign in the background, just quietly sitting in shot for decades. That display changed the tide. Neighbors started asking questions. The hardware store owner even came by and admitted, "I've always serviced this house independently. My records show you're not HOA." Proof in black and white that Evelyn's story was falling apart. The final showdown came at a community meeting. Walter stepped up, dropped the old HOA founding documents on the table, and revealed he'd been the original chairman, the man who drew the boundary lines to protect homes like mine. He pulled out the original HOA ends here marker, weathered by years, and a waterproof box buried by the oak. Inside, the full Charter County correspondence, legal opinions, all spelling out in no uncertain terms that my property was always outside HOA reach. That's when Evelyn lost it completely, smashed my granddad's old bamboo wind chime in front of the whole crowd. There's something about watching a person snap all the fake authority drops and you see the truth. Walter laid it all out and the vote was unanimous. Evelyn, removed as president, forced to pay for damages, legal fees, and write a formal acknowledgement for the county records. Even the deputy filed charges for false reports and harassment. We put up a new permanent marker, HOA ends here. 2005. Confirmed 2024. Neighbors helped me hang a new bamboo wind chime, the whole block turning out to celebrate, kids laughing, folks shaking hands. Walter looked at me and said, "Your granddad would be proud. Truth doesn't need to shout, it just needs to be ready when the noise dies down." So if you're still here, I want to know, what would you have done in my shoes? Have you ever faced down a bully with the law on your side? Drop your thoughts below. If this story hit home, hit that thanks button and share a kind word. And hey, may your neighbors stay sane and your fences stay strong. Some fights aren't just about property, they're about drawing the line and holding it for everyone who comes after you.